This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
I have got quite a very beautiful sighting. Hosanna at this stage is busy trying to have an afternoon meal. You can see he is feeding. I'm not too sure if he managed to caught this himself or maybe other leopards caught this for him. But to me, that looks like a small daycare. A very, very good afternoon, and most of all, welcome to the beginning of the game drive, and most of all, welcome to all the kids from the Reed Flag Elementary School. I am Sydney, and I am not traveling alone this afternoon. I am traveling with Fergus, who is my camera operator. We are all going to be with you this afternoon. And kids, for your questions and comments, you can ask through your teachers. I am going to show you this lovely sighting. I can hear bones crashing. Things are happening. This cat looks very much hungry this afternoon. Hosanna is one of our leopards. He's not that very old. You can see he's young. He's trying to... London, the leopard's teeth, they are very much sharp and the canines are very much strong. I can even hear those teeth there breaking the bones. Look at that. He's feeding and he's also concentrating on some of the things happening. So I'm just hearing the monkeys. The monkeys are giving quite a lot of alarm calls. Not too sure if this alarm calls has got something to do with Hosanna at the moment, or there is any other leopards not very far away from where we are. So those are the monkeys complaining about something. So I just want to try and check where is the focus on these monkeys. When looking at that monkey, it's complaining facing down, not really facing here where I am. Maybe there is another predator somewhere on the ground here. So I must have to check very nicely, because the alarm call the monkey is giving is not convincing me that these monkeys are complaining about Hosanna, the leopard I'm watching at the moment. So when there are cats in the area, this is what happens. Other animals, they don't feel comfortable. When these monkeys are giving this kind of noises, some other animals are getting benefits because they are becoming wary. So they are now trying to check what is happening. Let's see where that monkey is leading us to. While I'm still investigating about what's happening, I have got my other colleague, Steve. He's just about to start with a guided walk. Let's see what Steve is thinking about this afternoon.
Good afternoon, boys and girls. My name is Steve, and I'm joined on camera by Senzo Mkize, and we are out on foot in the African wilderness. I'm sure Sydney has already told you to send your questions through with your teacher. Let us know what you'd like to talk about. I know habitats is very important, and here is one habitat. Have a look at this open area. You can see there's some tall trees, and it's very open, and there's grass. So this is a very nice area to find wildebeest and zebra. They like this open area, and also at night time, the impala like to come here. We're going to try to show you these animals. They like to come here and sort of just spend the night, because there's animals like what Sydney's got, that leopard, that like to catch them, and if they're not in the open, well, they can't see the leopard approaching. So very important, these nice open areas, the animals like to come and hide. There's quite a bit of wind blowing behind me now. That wind, often the animals will come and they'll be able to smell the leopard coming from behind. But it's a very scary time at night out here in the African wilderness, because there's animals not just like leopards, there's also lions and hyena that like to eat meat, and if you're not very careful, these animals are going to get caught. So it's often we find them in large groups, and if you look around on the ground here, there's lots of dung, lots of poo over here. This is all from a wildebeest. All of this poo, yes, I'm touching it with my hands. Look at that. All these dark pellets, wildebeest dung, because they spend the nights out here. Evan, you want to know how fast a lion is? Well, a lion can sprint probably about 42 miles an hour. That's pretty quick, isn't it? The fastest human on the planet can go 37 kilometers an hour. So that is 15 or so miles an hour, maybe 17. Not very fast, is it? Nope. So a lion is very, very fast, but over a short distance. So that's why these animals like to come into the open area, because if they can see the lion from 20 yards away, they'll run away from the lion. It won't catch them. So that's why it's important for these open areas. That's why the lions, the leopards, they stalk up very close. They stalk up. They got spots, the leopards do, and the lions that go very low to the ground, a lot lower than I can go. And they try and get as close as they possibly can. And then they run and they jump on the back of the animal and they pull it down and they eat it. It's very scary. Very scary. But that is what's like out in the African wilderness. And I think we're going back to Sydney. I didn't quite hear that, but let's go and have a look.
I am here trying to investigate the alarm call given by the monkeys. So I'm just driving around here just to try and see where exactly the concern of these monkeys is coming from. I am very sure that these monkeys were not complaining about the presence of Hosanna, as Hosanna was hiding very nicely and their focus was much more on this side. So I'm just going to drive around here and see if there is any other leopard we can find or any other predator we can find apart from Hosanna. I will go back to Hosanna just now, but I just want to make a turn here by the dam and see what is it the monkeys are complaining about. I am not seeing anything here at this stage. Maybe the monkeys managed to see something because they were high up, so I am very much low at the moment. So I'm not seeing anything, and all the monkeys now get disappeared. So I can't see very well where this complaint was coming from. So I will be heading back again there now and see if we can find Hosanna again and just enjoy Hosanna having some meal. So the cats, such as leopards, they can hide very nicely. I didn't copy that question very well. If you can repeat FC. Ezra, leopards are one of the very much clever animals. One, the leopards are solitary, meaning that they walk by themselves. They don't hunt as a team. So when there is something for them to eat, they must have to make sure that it's taken up to a tree in order to avoid competition. Competition is whereby you find animals fighting for the same food. So they are very much clever. They know on the ground there's other animals such as hyenas which can easily come and fight and take away their kill. So they are one of the clever animals. So you can see now up here, this leopard is not disturbed at all. Sean, the leopard spots, not too sure exactly, but something else you must have to think about is that each one of them has got its own spot pattern. So those number of spots, they will never be the same. It's like our fingerprints. So each one of them has got its own number of spots and its own stripe patterns. The leopard is becoming a favorite to quite a lot of people here in Africa. I have seen a lot of fashion designers. They are now doing quite a lot of design as if the clothes are made out of the leopard skin. It's quite a beautiful animal. Look at that. So these animals, they can eat a lot of food. They can eat up to 25 to 30 kilograms. But they don't eat all that at the same time, unless it is a small animal. Sometimes leopards, you see, they catch something like a scrub hare. They will just finish it straight away. But what this leopard is eating now, I'm not seeing very well, but I can see it looks like it was a small daker. So dakers, in size, they are just about 18 to 25 kg. So they can be able to feed on that. And they cannot even take much time feeding on that if it's a daker. But other animals such as impalas, it will take time. So while I'm still here seeing Hosanna, let's see Steve on bushwalk, maybe already got something.
Yes, well, I haven't found anything of the animal variety, but, you know, we want to talk about habitats today. So what is a habitat? And a habitat, essentially, if you think about it for yourself, a habitat is the area that you live in. It's where you sleep, it's where you have your food, it's where you do whatever you do. You go to school, you play around, you have fun with your friends. That is essentially the habitat. So you need shopping centers, or you need a garden. You need all of that to keep you alive. So out here in the African wilderness, a habitat here in the savannah, you need to have trees for the shade because it gets very hot here in summer. You need to have food. So there's lots of animals that will eat grasses, lots of animals that will eat trees as well, and then some animals that will eat those animals. So you need food. And so we always thinking habitat of the big animals, but I'm sitting on a fallen tree, and this fallen tree that was broken down is a habitat for millions and millions of little things that you probably won't even be able to see. So what probably happened is an elephant came along and he decided, well, I like this tree. I'm going to take my big tusks and I'm going to break into the bark. Do you know what bark is? That stuff on the outside of a tree. It's like that. It's the protection that keeps the tree protected against insects and fire. And inside the bark, normally, there's lots of juicy stuff in there, lots of tasty things that the elephant likes to eat. But once that bark has been ripped off of a tree, this is what often happens. And if you look closely here, there's little holes in the tree. And in these holes have been made by a woodpecker. I'm going to make the sound. Listen to my hat. It's not very good, but a woodpecker comes along and it pecks in this wood. And why does it peck in the wood? Because there are beetles that lay their eggs inside. And so the woodpecker, with his face, smashes open this, and then with a very long tongue goes inside and pulls out the little beetles to eat them. So that is a habitat right there for the beetles, and the tree itself is a habitat for the bird, because what happens is this hole eventually could get made bigger and bigger and bigger, and there's lots of bird species that will go inside there and lay their eggs. So what we're looking at here is a dead tree that's fallen down, but it has created the habitat for millions of animals. Very small ones. I mean, here we have got lots and lots of bark that is on the floor over here. The shade has changed. There's a lot more shade here. But if I move in here and maybe lift up some of the bark here, let's see if we can find anything. Now, you've got to be careful because sometimes there could be snakes underneath, scorpions and snakes. There could be anything really underneath. So you've got to be very careful. Okay, well, I don't want to damage it too much, but lots and lots of organisms can live under there, and all it is an elephant damaged the tree. Armical, animals could live in this habitat as a whole, definitely. I mean, here, if we look at this big area, we've got the open area, and then we've got areas that we're going to go into shortly. A lot of the mammal species will move from the open area to the thick area and back again constantly. But then some organisms, because this over here, this is a pile of elephant dung. That is a pile of elephant dung. Some animals will live inside there. That is the habitat of a lot of organisms, will live just inside this, spend their entire life inside that. They will eat, sleep, reproduce, and then die inside the elephant dung. Isn't that interesting? So if you took your shoes after a very long hike and left it outside for too long, well, that is a habitat. That'll turn into all sorts of weird and wonderful things if you don't clean them. Jason, there's lots of birds that live in the tree. There's an enormous amount of species. In this area here, we could get probably about 300 different species of bird. And I'm going to tell you about maybe 20 or 30 off the top of my head that like to live in holes in trees that have been created by dead trees because of elephants and woodpeckers. And then they live inside. That's where they have their babies. So very, very interesting. Well, we're going to keep moving on. See if we can find you anything interesting over here and in and around, and while we do that, it seems like my favorite leopard is having some lunch.
Hosanna, the beautiful leopard, is now just about to finish what he's having. I can see that he's not left with much there. You can see. So the cats such as this was, they are not that very much water dependent. They do get water from what they are having as meal every day. I wanted to see exactly what that one is, but it's difficult from here where I am. And that is just the last bit from an animal. Elena, leopards, they are very much skilled and well equipped. If you look at their paws, look at that, you will see that the leopards, they've got the toes which has got the nails, and these nails, they are not always out. They do hide them and they bring them out when they want to use them. So those kind of nails, when they're climbing trees, they bring them out and it helps them to grab. Leopards, they are very much good, successful climbers. So they can climb very well. And also climbing down for them is too easy. So the tail also helps them to create a balance when they are climbing these trees. Gavin, the leopards, as I indicated earlier, leopards are one of those animals that don't hunt as a team, which means they have got to target the small animals. They prefer to take down animals of the size of a duiker. Duiker is one of the small antelopes in the reserve. Sometimes they take down impalas, and when it comes to the big animals such as kudus, they target the babies, and nyalas, they target the small babies. So taking an animal up to a tree, it needs quite a lot of power. They must have to take something small so that it's easy to drag it up to a tree. If they can target big animals, it's not going to be easy for them to hide it up to a tree. So they consider all these things. And mostly these kind of animals, they kill. Let's see Steve, he has got something very much small. I will be here waiting for this predator to carry on feeding.
Yes, Yes, well, that is the wonderful thing about being on bushwalk, is you get to find the little things. And can you see it, boys and girls? This is one of the small predators that we have around, and it is a very, very camouflaged praying mantis. If you can't see it, I'm just going to point it out with my finger. He's just over there. He's very camouflaged, and he's standing on the ground, blending in with the vegetation, and moves very, very slowly. You often find them in the trees. They walk around the trees because they look just like a stick, and they camouflage just like that leopard is, maybe a little bit more camouflaged, and then they wait for some insects to come towards the tree, and they grab them with their very strong feet here in the front. Those feet that are curled up right now would give them the name praying mantis. See how he's pretending to be a stick now? He's completely fooling me. He's even moving in the wind like a branch would do. And so he's the master of surprise and stealth. Nothing sees him, and they come very close. And then he grabs him quickly with those feet, and then he munches him. He's busy turning his head from time to time. I think he likes the sound of my voice. What do you think? Can you see his head moving? Beautiful eyes. He's now looking at you, boys and girls. He's wondering if you are maybe a tasty morsel, maybe a bit too big for him, but he's very interested, isn't he? Gorgeous. Many, many species of praying mantis around the world, and they are predators. When they are quite small, they are preyed upon by bigger insects, but this guy, he is master of camouflage, but also quite vulnerable to a number of bird species. That's why he has to be very camouflaged, not just to catch his food, but also to prevent the birds from catching him. Because, I mean, you wouldn't see him, would you? Senzo was walking past and pointed out the hole in the ground, and then got very excited that he saw a stick. A stick insect, which is actually a praying mantis. Absolutely gorgeous. So all sorts of things, small and wonderful, are found all over the African plains. And this is just one of the small things that we see. What's that, Sans?
The legs.
You can see his legs, eh? Yeah, so 6 legs for an insect. He's got the 2 pairs at the back and then the 2 at the front, which are his grabbing, praying legs. That's the classification of insects. They have 6 legs, and the outside of the body is hard. Generally, he looks like he might still be a little bit too small. When he gets a bit bigger, he's going to form some wings, and then he'll be able to fly around and maybe meet himself a girlfriend. London, all sorts of things could eat the praying mantis. Bigger praying mantises, scorpions, perhaps, but mainly it would be birds. Birds would try and get him, but he's very camouflaged and very hard to be spotted. I mean, he's on the ground right now. He's probably not in the best place to be when it comes to being a praying mantis, but he looks just like this stick, doesn't he? Look at that. Oh, he's moving. He looks just like this stick. Look at that. Almost a complete replica of the stick. So a bird would just miss him. If it's looking for something on the ground to come and flop down on and try and grab, he would completely miss that praying mantis. Well, very exciting. And on another note, I've got another good friend who would like to say good afternoon to you.
Hello everybody! Whoops! Welcome to this end of our special school drive on habitats I believe you're looking at today. My name is James, and I'm sorry I'm late. It's not very good to be late for class, but unfortunately our car didn't work very well when we started out. Anyway, that's the case. We've got Sebastian on camera, and we are going to also try and find a leopard, a bit like Sydney's one, except the brother to at least the sister to the one that Sydney has. And what we're doing is checking at the water holes. It's been a nice warm day, and so we'll check around where there's water and see if that other leopardess isn't around here, and mainly because I'd quite like to introduce you to her little cub. Now, we've got a question about whether or not leopards are dangerous. Well, they can be dangerous, and this is from Jaden. They can be dangerous, but only if you make them very cross. Now, what's very lucky about living out here in the wilderness is that it's not too difficult to tell what makes an animal cross. And generally, an animal feels cross when an animal feels afraid or threatened. There's a nyala. We'll just have a quick look at the nyala. So when an animal is afraid or threatened, well, then it becomes cross and then it can become dangerous. But you've seen that Sydney is sitting very close to that leopard, and the leopard hasn't attacked him, and that's because the leopard is completely relaxed. It doesn't feel like it is threatened. But you wouldn't want to sort of try and touch the leopard or anything like that, then it would become afraid. And even that nyala, that's just walked behind the bush there, which looks like it wouldn't really hurt you and it wouldn't be dangerous. It could be dangerous if you made it afraid enough. And it's a little bit like if you're on the playground at school and someone comes and pushes you. I bet you don't think of yourself as dangerous, but if someone pushes you and makes you angry and then they push you again, well, then you might become quite dangerous because you'll become angry, and your anger is there because you're feeling afraid. You don't want to be pushed around like that. And the animals are exactly the same. So as long as they don't feel like we're pushing them around, no, they're not dangerous. The real trick is to know which behaviors make animals afraid. There's another nyala over there. We've just come round the corner. Aren't they beautiful? Hopefully they will escape all the leopards. I think they are so beautiful, these animals. They are my favourite antelope that we get out here. Alrighty, we're going to carry on looking for our leopard. Let's go back to Hosana.
It is very much nice, cool and windy here where I am. Hosana is just enjoying his own meal. It's still very difficult for me here to see what exactly Hosana is eating, because he's just got just a small part of hairs showing there. He's hiding everything. Look at that. Now I can see there's just quite a lot of hairs there, but there's not much left. So leopards, they are one of the powerful cats, because in Africa is the only cat which is very much powerful to drag something high up into a tree. The other cats, such as lions, they just feed from the ground. Tilia, leopards, they do eat the animals such as monkeys and baboons. And baboons, those are their special kind of a diet, special kind of food. So they do climb trees and catch those monkeys. That is why monkeys, when they see the leopards, they have to give an alarm call, because they know that they are not very safe where they are if the leopards are present nearby. So leopards, they prefer to eat the primates. They take down monkeys and they take down the baboons. He's breaking all the bones there. Gavin, the leopards, how they fight is very much interesting. If the two leopards meet and they don't stay at the same place, the other one is just coming to challenge the owner of the place, you will see they are going to charge each other. You will see the facial expression when they are trying to open the mouth and growl just to show off their front teeth. They will do that, and after that they are going to fight, trying to bite each other, and sometimes they clap each other. Their fights are very much interesting. But it's very much scary. When the leopards are fighting, it's very much scary. They make this very big noise when they're growling. So leopards, they don't roar, they soar. The difference between sawing and roaring is that a sawing sound is like someone cutting a tree, and a roaring sound is like how the lion makes noise. That is a roar. Then a sawing sound is like, so it's like cutting a tree. We are very much lucky this afternoon to find this cat feeding. Even the leopard's tail can be very long. It can go up to 64 to 99 centimeters. So that is very long, and that tail is very much important. It is not there just for a decoration. The tail helps them because it can tell you the internal thinking of the animal. You can read the animal mood from the tail. When they are hunting, you will see them moving their tails. When they are calling the other family members, they are going to raise the tail up and show off a bright light color, which is like a torch, and the other ones, they are going to follow. Again, they use that tail for balance. You can see that they're trying to grab the branch by all means. Lakira, that is quite a very interesting question. Why? Because it's just reminding me of one of the events. My first time in Juma Game Reserve, I went on a game drive where I saw the lions fighting the leopards. And it was quite a very interesting fight. So the lions and leopards, they don't get along. Here in Juma, they always fight and they always chase each other. But who gets submissive is the leopards. They always move away and avoid lions. And these lions, they've got an intention of killing the leopards because they try to corner them. They try to ambush these leopards. So it is very much rare to see the leopards walking as a big group. So a group of leopards together is called a leap. So to see them in a leap is very much rare. Normally they are just by themselves, which makes it very difficult to defend themselves against the mobbing predators such as the lions. Lions, they walk in groups. Conlon, I didn't copy that question very nicely. If FC, you can repeat that. Conlon, leopards, they got water in two different ways. One, when they are feeding from the prey, they eat quite a lot of blood. And that blood has got quite a lot of moisture. The animal has got a lot of moisture, so there's no need for them to really every time go to the water hole. However, when they are very thirsty, because the kills are not guaranteed, they go and get the water from the nearest water hole. Here where I am now, I'm just about less than 250 meters away from the nearest water hole. So in other words, this leopard is coming to this tree and scan the whole area. He can be able to see the animals going to the water hole. He will go and catch there, and he will bring back the animal up to a tree. And when thirsty, he will go down, have water, come back and carry on feeding. So now I am going to see if Steve is talking to you about the animal skull.
Yes, well, I found an animal skull, and we promised we'd show you one of these animals, but hopefully we'll find a live one. This is an impala, and you can tell that is a male because it's got these horns on the top here. Very sort of nice shape horns. This was quite a mature-ish sort of male, and they use these horns for fighting. But this guy didn't make it, it seems. He came away from that open area, and he moved down towards the sort of more thicker area, and it's a good chance that a leopard maybe caught him over here somewhere, and he is no more. This is all that there is. But what's very interesting is we're talking about habitats, and here we've got the horn, as we've spoken about, and the horn is made up as the same stuff as our nails, boys and girls. It's just hair, really. But look at these tubes here. Can you see these tubes? These tubes are for a moth, and the moth has a very, very important ability to feed on the horn, on this, the keratin, the nail, the hair stuff there, and then it, you know, like what moths do, they make these cocoons, and this is all cocoon over here with basically the horn, leftovers of the horn, and then it goes inside and it comes out like a butterfly. It's probably popped out the end there like a butterfly, and then it'll go away and land on more horns somewhere. So this is the habitat needed for a moth to survive. Very interesting. All we see is a skull on the floor, and we think, oh, well, that's the end of that. But all sorts of things could maybe live underneath this, because the horn being on the ground here, like that, underneath it, it is once again forming a little bit of a habitat on the ground. So we're going to put it back where we found it. We're going to keep moving on and hopefully see if we can find you alive one of those. That would be nice, wouldn't it? Up we go. And so where we're walking now, we've gone from the open. Watch out, there's some thorns. Henry's got a thorn in the foot, sorry, Sense. We went from the open area. Now you're going to see it gets a lot thicker as we come down here. So this is where the habitat starts to change from the last one to this one. You can see it gets much, much thicker over here. Just have a look. So some of the animals will come and hide in here. This is perfect area for the leopards to hide in. Sometimes when it gets windy, it's a good place to hang out as well. But we're going to walk through this thick spot, so we might have to have our ears. And let's go over to James with his binoculars.
Now, what we've done is we've found a monkey that's shouting. There he goes. Now he's jumped on the ground. And what monkeys do is they shout when they can see a predator like that leopard. But the fact that he's jumped onto the ground tells me that whatever predator he can see is probably quite far away. Those poles that you can see belong to a camp. Oh, he's very clever. Very clever. There he goes into the camp. So I don't know where these things are or what he's shouting at. It might be that he can just see Hosanna. We're not far from there. And maybe he's just got very good eyes and he's able to look at Hosanna. Anyway, what we'll do is we'll just do a little turnaround here, because of course Hosanna's sister Tandi was here this morning. And so it would be quite fun to find her on this rather windy, beautiful afternoon. Okay, let's do that. We'll drive a little bit further down this way, have a look around there, and then see what we can find. Oh, Zakwin, the most dangerous animal that lives here? It's an easy one to answer, Zakwin, but it's going to be a question, at least an answer that you're going to be surprised by. I'm going to give you two answers. You're going to be surprised by both of them. The first answer is human beings. We are the most dangerous animal out here. We cause much more damage than any other animal out here because we've got weapons and we are not very good at looking after nature. So we are very dangerous to all the animals out here. Not so much in a game reserve like this, but in a lot of areas we are very dangerous. Possibly to humans though, the most dangerous animal out here is a mosquito. Yep, a mosquito. And that's because a mosquito in this area carries a disease called malaria. And malaria kills many, many, many thousands of people every year. And so we have to avoid the mosquitoes of this area. They're much more dangerous than buffaloes, elephants, or hippos, or lions, or anything like that. This are really bad news for human beings. You've just got to find a little way to get down here. We don't want to have an accident. You think that's all right, Sid? He says that he reckons we can get down that way. If we don't make it, well, we know who we'll blame. Ah! All right, Sydney is just over there with Hosanna. We'll keep looking for Tundi and keep you posted.
We are very much lucky this afternoon because by this time of the day, mostly the animals such as leopard, specifically Hosanna. Hosanna is this leopard we are watching now. He's very much lazy and he just prefers to lie down until the temperature is cooled down. So to see him busy feeding up in this tree is amazing. So if you look at the mouth, is full of blood, and around the nose, and also some of the legs is showing there. This cat, after eating here, must have to go down and clean himself. You will see him licking the front legs, licking everywhere, because if he doesn't do that, he's going to have a bad smell, and that bad smell is going to spoil the chances of catching another prey, because the other animals will be able to smell him from a long distance. Ezra, leopards, they normally target the small animals which doesn't have big bones. The duiker, the one that I am thinking this leopard might have caught, has got very small bones, and the leopards can be able to eat almost everything. However, if there is any other remains, when they fall onto the ground, hyenas will come and finish. But if they are left up by the trees, they're just going to dry out there, and wind or rainy season, you will see everything then falling to the ground. And those bones we are talking about, when they're on the ground, you will see them very nice and white. Look, getting interesting now. See, he's up now. Can you see that this animal is equipped? Look at how he's standing on that branch, as if he's on the ground. This is beautiful, eh? Look at that. He can be able to turn right on that branch. Look at this. This is beautiful. This is getting beautiful. He's now hiding just behind that, but I just want to try and see what he's going to do now. He's just scratching. I think he's trying to scratch something against the mouth. So I'm just going to try and reverse a little bit so that...
Yep,
I just want to show you this leopard nicely. I'm just going to reverse a little bit because I think it's a better sighting from here so that you can be able to see what he is doing. Look at that. So he was just scratching against that branch. So it means he was trying to scratch. Maybe something is itching him. Look at him. Look at how softly this leopard is coming down that tree. Look at that. These animals are very well equipped and they can survive in different kind of habitats. You will find them up in the mountains. You will see them on the ground. They climb trees. Now, he's right in front of us, but look at how camouflaged. Look at how matching he is with the surrounding. Beautiful. Look at that. Oh, this is beautiful. So you can see now he's done eating and he ate everything. He's not going to go up there for feeding again. Now he's done. Look at the bellies. Look at the stomach. You can see now the stomach is full. He's trying to listen to what is happening in the area. Now that the stomach is full, all he's going to do, it will be just resting. So from today, it will just be resting, just to give time the internal stomach system to digest, to eat everything. And then when he's hungry again is when he will come back and do his hunting activities. But the fact that he's having a lot in the stomach does not mean he cannot kill something. If any other small animal come closer, he's still going to kill it. Sometimes these animals, look at that. You see what I was telling you, that they clean their legs. You see now he's trying to clean all the blood there so that it doesn't smell bad. He's proving everything so he can easily clean himself. So it has been very great having me here on the program, and thank you very much for all your questions and comments. Now I will be going to Kenya. David has got some buffaloes.
Welcome everybody, and Jumbo, and a very warm welcome to the Masai Mara, and we're very excited again to be live today. Yesterday I was here like 24 hours ago, and what a good start with a big, huge herd of buffaloes there with all the egrets trying to feed on them. Is what sometimes we call a symbiotic relationship. Oops, that one just rose up. Did you hear me? And you can see the grass that is just moving, and you can notice how high that grass is, and what an exciting moment we have. My name is always David, and filming with me today is Manu, and you got a new edition of a new boy by the name of James. James, did you wave? Fantastic. Thank you, James. How are you feeling, James? Are you enjoying it? A good feeling filming live? Excellent. James is very excited, just as I am. Manu, are you excited? Yeah. Good morning, Manu. Oh no, good afternoon. Very good. Wow, nice to see these buffaloes here. I was talking about earlier the tall grass that you see there, just because we were waiting for the wildebeest to come, and they'll be mowing or eating this grass. Remember, we'll be very happy to have your questions and your comments, and that way you'll always keep us engaged and on our toes. Great light. It's a bit windy, as you can see from the grass there, and the buffaloes always, flicking their ears because of the irritating flies. And because of the heat of the day, you notice they're not eating now, and what they're doing is just to ruminate now. They're just re-chewing what they ate earlier in the day. You also notice they've got massive mass of mud on their bodies, and that helps them to keep cool. And the area they are in, there's a little mud wallow there, and I would guess they've been wallowing in there and getting a lot of mud. Miss Worker, good morning or good afternoon, and I agree with your comment, and you're saying the buffalo horns are huge, and truly they are huge, and more so on the males. The males have this, when they come out from the head quite wide, and that's what we call the boss, and they're massive. To me, much bigger than the cows. Let's go back. Let's see whether James can pan on one particular buffalo, one particular male, and you can see how big they are and how different they are in size compared to the females, Miss Parker. I agree with you totally, and that's a great comment. Like that particular one there you see, and you can see the cattle egret is hitchhiking there. In the background also you see other birds that are also flying up and down on top of these buffaloes, and these ones are the oxpeckers. They could either be red-billed or yellow-billed oxpeckers, and they serve the same purpose, getting the parasites from them. Yeah, those are the oxpeckers I was talking about. If you move to the right, James, those ones there, no, you go to the left again. Yes, right there. Yes. And my guess is those are the red-billed oxpeckers. And I think Stivovo loves trees.
Well, who doesn't love trees? And what I was going to show you now, hello David, nice to have you back on the show. What I was going to show you now is I think we're all very spoilt for leopards in this area, and in the many years I've been guiding, this is probably my favorite track out in the African wilderness, because I haven't seen a lot of leopards in the past due to their very shy and elusive nature. And you walk around the bush and you can find tracks like this in a tree. And it's something that always makes me very excited. You can see over here very nice claw marks over there and over here. And over here, there's a number of them on the tree here, even around on the side. Another one there and there. Beautiful, beautiful tracks up in the tree. Another couple here. A very clean sort of claw mark of a leopard with weight going up the tree. And in January, we had Thandi up this tree with Tlalamba when she was still quite young. We did a very nice action broadcast from this little drainage line. So I thought while we were walking past, you might as well just come and have a little look. I always look at trees. I've always, for my whole life, looked at trees in the African wilderness, in the savannah, for claw marks of leopards. And, you know, I've probably found more claw marks in trees than I've found leopards. But now that I'm in Djuma, that tally is kind of turning itself on its head. But really, really cool. This is up in the very nice sort of low-felt milkberry. And the fruits, they actually thought about making this tree into a commercially grown fruit because the fruit is very tasty. It actually got a little bit of a vanilla milkshake sort of taste, but it proved to be, you know, not too propagatable or not too commercially viable. So they tossed it aside. But this could have been on the market. But there's just a bit too much pip for the fruit. Anyway, I thought I'd show us this tree. It is a beautiful, beautiful tree. Thandi had a warthog up here. I was having a look around to see if there's any scraps around, but nothing at all on the ground. We didn't have Tlalamba up there. She was still too small to be climbing the trees at that stage, but they were around the corner here. She had her here for a few days in this little drainage, so a little bit of nostalgia, because we will always look for a leopard. Whenever you see a leopard in a tree like this, every time you walk past, you like picture them there again. Not this time though, but it seems like James is on a similar search.
Well, leopards, of course I'm looking for leopards. Yes, we are going to see if we can find where Thandi went this morning. Thandi, a 12-year-old leopardess. I must say that every time I say the word, or every time I mention Thandi for the first time, and that of course is in case we have some new viewers with us. So she is the Queen of Djuma, 12 years old, sorry, and she was at the kill with Hosana this morning, and we are going to do our best to find her. There were some monkeys alarm calling around Hosana, but I think it was just one monkey with very good eyesight, and he was looking into the tree. There is something I haven't seen for a little while. A wasserbok, or aquabuck, who is now deeply irritating me going into a thicket. Why would he stay visible? I think I'll try and go forward. I might just get out and chase him into the picture. Don't worry everybody, I'm joking, I won't do that. Yes? Yeah? All on his lonesome. Not sure where he'd be going. This is not an ecotone where you normally expect to find them. He's in some full riverine bush here. And I suspect that his existence here has got something to do with the winter. And the fact that if there is a little bit of moisture left in the soil, this is where it will be. Yes, Magic Dragon, their buttocks are indeed like a target. I'm not sure that's what evolution gave them those white buttocks for. That is the juvenile batelier, and you'll notice I used the definite article there as opposed to the indefinite article. It is the juvenile batelier that lives around Ledwood Road. His mummy and daddy also live around there. And Sebastian's just making a grunting noise because he's flown out of the picture. Yes. Anyway, he's on the hunt for something. So yes, Magic Dragon, it does look like they've got a target on their backsides. But whenever there's something inexplicable on the back end of an animal, what do we say? We say, well, that must be a following mechanism to help them when they're from predators. It's probably true. I can't see another reason why you would have a ring on the bum. It does beg the question that why the Defasa waterbuck doesn't have a ring on the bum. Okay, we'll continue doing our best to find something that can compete with Hosana.
the lunch is done now. Osana is happy, he's done feeding, he's now very much relaxed. Now he's doing what cats supposed to do during the day. He's just relaxing, but it's cleaning time. You can see he's now licking his front legs to try and clean all the blood and everything that is attached to the front legs. So look at that. So these cats are very much clever. While he was up there by the tree, he was just having blood everywhere. But now he's cleaning himself. It's going to look good as if he's not the one who was feeding there. So after all this cat is going to sleep here for long hours. He's not going to worry about anything anymore. All he's going to do is to just go to the nearest waterhole, come back and rest again, or else rest there by the waterhole, because at this stage the food is finished. He doesn't have any other responsibility of protecting the food. Because what caused these cats to go and rest by the trees when having a kill is protection of the food. But when the food is finished, there's no need for them to go there. So the other animals here still got to be very careful. Cats sometimes they catch animals just to try and show animals that they are cats and they are predators and they can kill. I have once been on a sighting whereby the cats caught 4 wildebeest in less than 1.5 hours. What happened is that the first wildebeest was caught. The remaining wildebeest went closer to investigate what happened to their friend, and they took the second one. Same thing happens again. The remaining wildebeest went closer to investigate what happened to the second one. They took another one again, until 4 wildebeest were caught. And unfortunately, those lions did not feed on any of those wildebeest. They just killed 4 wildebeest and they moved on to the waterhole where they caught a kudu and feed. So you can see the tail is not moving, nothing. Is now on a very relaxing mood. Look at those spots. Look at those spots with the golden reflection of the sun. So I will be here, I will hang around here. But now, let's see, Steve is on a guided walk. I'm not too sure which side of the reserve is he. Maybe he's got something to show you interesting.
I have no idea where I am, Sydney. I'm actually lost. So I thought I'd quickly show you all a quick little way of how do you navigate out in the African wilderness. And there's 2 ways to do it. The first way is if you don't have a watch. Okay, we're not going to really do it. I'm going to show you how it's done, and then we're going to move on to the second one, because the first method takes a bit of time. It takes 15 minutes to an hour. The longer you wait, the more time. Okay, so all you need really for this one, called the stick and shadow method, is a bit of sand. And please, if you've seen this before, I'm sorry if this bores you, but we're going to do it. I've never done it on the show. A piece of sand is handy. A stick, hence the name stick and shadow. Obviously, it helps if the sunshine. Oh, let me put that over there. If the sun is shining. Okay, it's very far at the moment. I'm going to put it over there. Sandy patch. Okay, that's very far. It's not the best time of day to do this. Okay, the stick. There's the top of the stick over there. And on the ground over here, right there where the top of the stick falls, put a stone. Then wait 10 minutes, 5 minutes. It's a nice thing I used to do with guests when we had a coffee break. We'd do this, sit down, and then do this. And slowly but surely, that shadow is going to move. So every 5 minutes, 10 minutes, just put another stone at exactly where the top of the stick hits the ground. Not anywhere else, exactly there. And what's going to happen is this shadow is actually going to form an east-west line. And the longer you wait, the more accurate that line becomes. And what are you able to do when you get an east-west line? well, of course, then you're able to work out north. But seeing as we don't have the time, we're not going to wait. I have got a watch. I know exactly what the time is. So I've got, once again, a patch of sand. And a clock is ideal. You need to know what the time is. The time now, very easy. It's just about to turn 4 o'clock in South African time. So now, ladies and gentlemen, you need to kind of understand how a clock face works. Sort of the hands of a clock works to help this. Otherwise, you're going to get quite confused. But by putting this down here, where this line goes here, this is the shadow. Where that line goes there, I'm going to put a stone. I'm going to call that 12 o'clock. Yes? Now, if that's 12 o'clock, then you can assume that this is 3, and this is 6, and over here is 9. Do you all agree with me? I'm sure you do. If you don't, well, we can discuss that later. Now, the time now is 4 o'clock on the nose. So if this is 3, and that is 6, then that's 5, and that's 4. Okay, so that's 4 o'clock over there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw that line there, just for the 4 o'clock, and draw the line for the 12 o'clock, just so you can see it again. Okay, remember where the middle of the circle is. It's right there. Now, this is where sometimes can get confusing, but you're going to join the 4, where it hits the 4. You're going to join that with the 12. Okay, and then where the middle of the line is, that is the east-west line that's just formed there. There's east, the east-west line, so that's east and that's west. And that way there is directly north. This is south. So now we know exactly where we're going. I hope that helps. It's not a difficult method to do, but in the southern hemisphere, this is how it's done. I'll just recap it again. So we've got the 12 and we've got the 4. Now bear in mind, if the time changes, this shadow of the 12 is going to shift. So this east-west line is going to shift with regards to how the clock is set up. But always the shadow, because if you can see, here is the line that I drew, the east-west line. Because we're in the southern hemisphere, the sun is always to the northern side. So the shadow is always falling backwards towards the east-west line, which means this is the southern side. If you're doing this in the northern hemisphere, it's going to be the opposite way around. You're going to find south by doing this method. Okay, so try it out when you're at home. See if you can get it. Please feel free to send me questions through if it doesn't make sense, and I can do it again sometime. But Northern Hemisphere is the opposite way around. So don't go and get completely lost and then blame it on me. It's because the sun is more on the south for you guys. So your shadow falls the opposite side. 100%. Okay, now if we left that stick and shadow method for a while, you'd end up putting a whole lot of stones down that would give you the same east-west sort of line. I've done it a few times in conjunction with each other, and it works pretty well. And if we had a compass, we'd be able to see. Herbie, which way? Let's ask Herbie himself. He's right there. But he hasn't seen my line here. He hasn't seen my line. Herbie, which way is north? Here we go. Exactly where my arrow is pointing. Are you going to walk backwards, Stens, and show them the arrow? Walk backwards. Oh. 100%, eh? Herbie is the GPS. He knows exactly where north is. Herbie, which way is north? That way. Look at that. Okay, so the sand doesn't lie. Herbie doesn't lie. Okay, well, seeing as we now know where we're going, we're going to carry on in westerly direction. And in the meantime, let's go back over to my best friend, the little chief.
I am still here with the little chief, Hosanna. You can see Hosanna is very much weary. But now it's time for Hosanna to clean himself. He has been just cleaning himself since he got down from that tree. You can still see he's carrying on, busy trying to clean all the blood that are attached to the body. So after all this cleaning, he is going to sleep. So the chances of him around here tomorrow as well and after tomorrow, they are very much high, because when the bellies are full, they don't mind, they don't travel long distances. So you can see now he's done, he's about to sleep. If he sleeps now, he's going to be here for quite a long time. This is quite a very beautiful animal. Seeing Hosanna on the thermal is amazing. Hosanna, it seems like he could recognize his name. I just indicated seeing Hosanna and then he's moving. So now is the time for the digestive system to eat all the food he has taken. Tom, Hosanna is not going to leave this area. I've been to the waterhole on several occasions. Hosanna is very much strategic, and Hosanna is using the waterhole as a central point of attraction. All these animals, he knows very well they will come and drink there. So for him, it's an easy job taking these animals because he's not spending all the energy like what the other ones are doing deep in the thick bushes. He's just coming and wait until the animal comes and catch. He doesn't even run long distances. So I think considering those kind of benefits, he's not going to leave this area.
Should we move around a bit?
So I'm just going to try and move around a little bit so that we can have a better sighting, because now I am at the back. He's now hiding. So let me just go around and see if we can have a better sighting. So I will be on this corner. But now let's see, James is also around in the reserve. Maybe James already is having something interesting for you.
Unfortunately, no, he doesn't have anything particularly interesting. He's still trying to find leopards. I did find a leopard. It looked like a big leopard, possibly Tingana, coming down towards where I am now, which is the Mamba Road and the Umulawamati. And if you would like to follow that, you can find it on the map, on the Google map. Otherwise, I'll just tell you it's quite close to the southern boundary. So we're going to go and have a look at the little waterhole to the south here and see what we can find in that region. And we might be lucky. Oh dear, my signal's going. Let's go across to Steve walking about.
Well, I'm sorry about James's signal. There's all sorts of things happening this afternoon, but don't worry, we're here. Bushwalk is good. Now, you might want to ask, the practicality of knowing your direction. Now, ideally, you want to be able to keep that line, don't you, if you know where you're going, okay? I left camp, and I went sort of east, and now I need to go back to camp, which is west. Well, then you need to do that circle that I just showed you. And then if you stand somewhere in your circle, and you figure out which way is the north, have a look at your shadow, find out exactly which way you need to walk, measure to your shadow, cool, I need to go east or north or whatever it is, and then see where your shadow is and keep your shadow where you want to go. Because you're going to go around bushes, you're going to go up hills, you're going to go around slopes, so you can kind of keep that trajectory by using your shadow. Obviously, you don't want to have to do this every 10 meters, that GPS in the ground, because otherwise you're just going to take all day. So from a practical point of view, it's nice to know where you're walking. And you can walk quite fast. It's something that's very important as a trails guide to know direction. And you can do it with guests, because guests think, oh, cool, what a nice practical tip. But actually, you've forgotten where you're going, or you're lost, which is fine. You're never lost out in the wilderness, you're only temporarily disorientated. Now, Gromit, you wanted to know about do leopards or elephants use direction? And do they have particular pathways? Well, I think they've got good memories, and they kind of know where they're going within sort of a home range with regards to elephants, or a territory with regards to leopards. And I think a lot of it's got to do with smell. My opinion, a lot of it's got to do with smell. They can smell where they've walked before. They know a familiar path, and they're moving for a reason. What is the purpose of their moving? Elephants only walk along pathways to go towards water. So they'll know a very popular pathway and they'll get on and they'll walk that way. So, and they often use these very similar pathways. There's enormous pathways all over South Africa that were created by elephants and was then facilitated by the early voortrekkers, the Dutch settlers that moved from the Cape up inland. And that's the only way they were able to get over the Cape Fold Mountains was elephant pathways. When you go to these areas, the sandstone rocks, you can actually walk there and it's smoothed down by the body of millions of elephants walking through. So a lot of that with elephants is memory and passed down, but in small areas like this, they know where the water is, they just smell the ground. And I think leopards have got the memory to know where they're going. I don't think they go, I'm going to go east today. They follow the wind and they follow their senses, and they go where the wind is blowing from, or where the animals are moving, or if they're thirsty, they know, where's the closest watering point? That way, and off they go. So, and they tend to use similar pathways, so I'm sure they get a familiarity with regards to the smell. Well, let's go ask him himself. Maybe he can give you the answer about how he moves around. Is it direction or sense of smell? Hosana himself.
Hosana is getting very much irritated by some of the flies. I can see every time he's trying to sleep, they are irritating him. Because these flies, maybe they are seeing, you can see maybe there's some other small bloods which is attached to the body, and these flies are coming there for that. He was resting. He woke up maybe 3 times already because of these flies. Rosalind, in terms of the kilometers, I am not too sure, but they can walk very long distances. Why? Because of the following. Leopards are territorial, and a territory mostly is a small piece of land which can go up to 4.5 to 5.5 kilometers square. Once that area is marked, it cannot overlap. So the territorial holder must have to then move around in order to renew the scent to mark the whole territory. So that is why these animals, apart from searching for food, they have got to go back and renew the scent and try to activate the scent in their territories. Why they do that? Because when the intruder comes, intruder must be able to know that this area belongs to another male, and they will even know how old is that male and how dangerous or how aggressive is that male. So that is what they must do. It's like a routine. So I will be here and see what is his next move and his next thinking. But for now, let's see. Steve, he's got some birds where he is now. Let's see the birds.
Yes, we do have a rattling cisticola. One of the loudest, most vociferous birds we find out here. And certain times of year, these guys get very loud. And now is the occasion. And off he goes. Well, we had him for a moment. I know there's some of you out there that would love the fact that we managed to get a cisticola on camera. Cisticola. There's many ways of saying a very strange word. I remember the first time I heard it, I just ignored it. I stopped saying it. Cisticola. Well, he's off. He's an insect eater. This is his environment. This is his habitat. But James is back on board with an antelope.
Now, can you believe it? This is the most static, in other words, not moving duiker I've ever seen. And it is, of course, probably a distant relative of the one that is having a very poor afternoon with Hosana right now. This is the most relaxed duiker possibly in all of Djuma. You can see a little female with her unicorn mohawk. That's how you know it's a female. There she goes, diking away. You better dike a little faster than that, my dear, otherwise Hosana will catch you. and eat you. That was very nice, actually. We sat with it for a while, probably about 5 minutes, which for a duiker sighting is really very good indeed. Right, on we go. Nothing here at Twin Dams. My next plan is going to be to try and go up the riverbed from where we found those leopard tracks and see what we come up with up there. Very difficult, you're not on foot. Well, actually. Good when you... My signal is to the leopard.
I'm so very much honored this afternoon because Hosanna is not even trying to avoid me. He's just up and very much active. He's looking very much active. So I'm very much impressed today. Normally Hosanna this time is sleeping. So the ears were moving just now. I'm not too sure if maybe he was surprised by something, but earlier on I saw he was frightened by one of the buzzards passing by. You can see now the branches are moving, small trees are waving. It's showing that we are getting a very cool temperature. So when he's there on top of this little hill, he's enjoying all the temperature. Rachel, the leopards, you can find them in groups, but they are not permanent groups. They only meet during their breeding season. Normally, leopards, they are solitary, meaning that they only live by themselves. So a group of leopards together is not called a pride. We call it a leap of leopards. So I'm just going to try and drive around and try to see if I can find him from the back. But so far, I am very much happy because he is not like other days where you'll find him just resting and sleeping. Today, he's very much interested. He's walking around. He's showing off. This is amazing. So let me see if I can go right behind this termite mound as I saw that his move was heading down there. He must be somewhere here behind this. So while I'm searching here, let's go to Mara and see what they're having.
Sydney, I think you're the one who got Hosanna, and you let Hosanna know there's lots of choice here on the menu for him. If Hosanna could be here, he would have a lot to eat. And we got on your screen there, lovely viewers, a toppie. And toppies are very similar to what would compare in South Africa to the sesame. And this is one of the best lights I've seen in the Mara for a long time. And James is doing some wonderful job. And looking on that ear of that toppie there, I hope, James, you're able to punch on the ear there. It reminds me of the Steinbock, that's having a loo break there. Do you see that one, James, on the right? Is having a toilet break. That one there is having a wee. Not bad. I don't know how that half could be. And that one tells you definitely that one is a girl. I was looking at her initially and I thought she was pregnant. And I was like, was he too big? But now having seen it it tells me definitely it was a she, and most likely she could be pregnant. It must be very hungry toppies. Rocky, that's a great comment. The toppies are very beautiful. If you'd compare the toppies to the sesame, I would agree with you 100%. They are beautiful, and it's the only antelope you see it having different colors. And coming to the left there, Rocky, I think you can see another type of antelope, very similar to the springboks, not actually the springboks, but we call them the Thompson gazelles. Thompson gazelles, or the Tommy, sometimes we call them the Tommies. And these two here, I think, is a boy and a girl, and maybe the female to the left and the male to the right of your screen. And apparently both both sexes of this antelope, both male and the female, will have horns, but ideally, as we all know, the males will have much larger horns than the females. And it's time to eat for everybody. The temperatures have gone down, and why not enjoy the short grass as the Thompson gazelles are known to be eating? Toppies, some laying down, and well done, James. And James is showing us in like almost one frame, he almost got 3 different species of antelopes in the same area. And that one is an impala. Well done. This an impala just going through the toppies. I'm not sure if he is heading to, or he is heading towards the Tommies. And unlike the Thompson gazelles I was speaking about a few seconds ago, the impala's males got horns, females no horns. Rush, I guess your question is, do toppies breed the whole or round the year? Yes, they do. Unlike, say, other animals that we may, breed differently, the toppies all around the year, and especially here where we're in the Masai Mara, will be breeding all around the year. They don't have a particular season when they breed. And we're going to go back to the one particular one that I saw earlier, which I thought is pregnant. As I try to get something out of my book here, if you hear a bit of ruffling of papers moving, one small thing I really want to confirm about the toppies. And I can tell you, yes, that one particular one, I guess, it most likely, to me, it looks very pregnant. And yeah, I mean, they breed all around the year. And I think James got something interesting. Let's find out how small antelope James got.
It is so tiny. It's the smallest antelope we get here. And they never, ever do this for us. That Steenbok is not convinced it's been spotted. It's a little male, probably just off adulthood. His spiky little horns. But he's sitting dead still, like a stone, which is of course where he gets his name from. And we never ever see them like this. Normally they just run away. Sometimes you get a fleeting glimpse in the grass, but I've never had a sighting like this with them lying on the ground. It really is very special indeed. His little legs curled up underneath him, and if he really wanted to, he could disappear in a second. But I think because he's not entirely convinced that we've seen him, he's going to stay precisely where he is. See him smelling every so often, a little bit of movement from his nose. Alright, Tiffany, I can give you the answer to that. Do you want to know the differences between Thompson's gazelle, Steenbok, duiker and dik-dik in terms of their mass, I'm assuming, or their height perhaps? The smallest of what you've mentioned is the dik-dik. Now the dik-dik probably weighs in at about 6 kilograms or so. It's a 13 pounds odd, tiny little thing. Steenbok about 12 kilos. That's about 24 pounds, just a bit more, 26 pounds maybe. The duiker that we get here will weigh in between 18 and 20 kilograms, so around about 40 pounds, but heavier. And the Thompson's gazelle is actually quite a lot bigger than that. Thompson's gazelle probably about 35 kilos or so. I'll check that for you, which is about 80 pounds. But there are lots and lots of different duikers. Remember, some of them are smaller than the Steenbok, but not here. Here we only get one duiker, that is the common duiker or bush duiker. Look how well hidden he is there. Yeah, so they can weigh up to 16 kilos, but I don't think they weigh 16 kilos here. The dik-dik, and I think the Damara dik, the Kirk's dik-dik is what we'll find up in Kenya, only weighs between 3.5 and 7 kilos. So I was right, about 6 kilos. That's quite a relief, actually. And then to the Thompson's gazelle exactly. Yeah, no, Thompson gazelle, not much bigger than a duiker actually. Around about 25 kilos for a female, for a big female, and 35 for a big male. So I was a little bit overestimating the size of the male. So I guess a very small Thompson's gazelle might be of a size with a large grey duiker, bush duiker. It does, doesn't it, Courtney? You say it looks like this little fellow is smiling. It does look like he's smiling. He likes to have a little bit of company now and then. That, of course, is substantially more dangerous for him than it is for Hosanna. Oh, he's really so relaxed. That's fantastic. As many of you will know, stress and the hormones of stress, finding very, very interesting. And an animal in this state will be in a certain amount of stress, and he'll be treating hormones but not yet fill his blood with epinephrine. Right, I think we're back to Mara. I'm not sure on the timing, but I'll see you later. Oh, 10 seconds. There we go. So we'll stay with him. I'll hand you back to David.
Nice Ellis that I'm seeing here, and I'm trying to remember the last time I saw elephants. I was in Juma in Kruger National Park in South Africa, and James Henry have always compared the African elephants, the kind of elephants we have here, and the elephants in South Africa. And he says the elephants there are more rounded and the elephants here are more angular. Or is that the reverse? I'm not even sure what I'm saying. But I would want also my other colleagues, Jamie, Taylor, Sydney, Steve will also tell me. They have all seen the elephants in East Africa, in Kenya, and the ones in South Africa, in Kruger National Park. And just looking on the body morphology and finding out which are more angular shaped than others. Anyhow, we got a nice young male just feeding there and forming a big herd together with the ones coming up in the background. That's a big one there. Well done. And because of the heat of the day, as usual, you see them flapping their ears. And if you listen carefully, we might hear him pulling out the grass. One more time. I hope you got the right ambience there. I do not know who discovered to eat spaghetti first, whether the elephants or we human beings, but the way it picks up and rolls the grass there before it swallows it, or it puts it in the mouth, just like how Manu loves eating spaghetti. Manu, I know you love eating spaghetti, don't you? Yes, Manu loves any pasta and more so spaghetti. And I think Manu has a lesson to take home tonight. James, are you a fan of spaghetti? James is not sure, but I think we are learning something from this elephant. Jennifer, how are you today? And you're asking how long can the elephant tusk grow? And of course it depends. You've got what you call the forest elephants and the savanna elephants, and some of them will go up to 6 feet long. So it depends on where we are, but on the savanna elephants they tend to be much longer than the forest elephants, and you'll think because the forest elephants will need them to go through the forest, breaking trees and branches, so they don't grow as long because they keep wearing out. But like the one we're seeing here, if James can go back to that particular one, they tend to be slightly bit longer than the ones you'd see in the forest, or the one you'd call the forest elephants. That's a very good question, Jennifer. He decided to move with a lot of amount of grass in the mouth. And what a great light we got now. It's a huge herd of elephants where he is, but you have the big male close to us, and the other herd is right in the background there. And this is the beauty of the Mara, that you can see these ellies out in the open, in the savannah like this, getting the whole morphology of the whole body of the ellie. And this area, if you look at the grass, it's a bit green. It's like a marsh area which will have water all around the year, and the elephants love it. They're always guaranteed of green, lush grass and lots of water. I think that's one mama there, that's a cow, 2 youngsters there. I'm not sure both of them belong to her. And as you can tell from a distance there, he's trying to shield them away from us. But they have always learned, so long as you treat them well, you respect them, all is very good. Let's find out what a spotted cat could be doing all the way in South Africa now.
Hosanna is right now at the waterhole trying to have something to drink. This is showing me that the meat Hosanna was eating earlier, it was not having quite a lot of blood, because normally after having a meal they just rest there because they get all this moisture from what they have eaten. But what is showing me now is that there was not enough moisture from the meat he was eating earlier. This is amazing. I'm so very much happy because it's the first time Hosanna with me after a kill showing some activities like today. I have been on several sightings with Hosanna before, but he was not very active during this time of the day. He is much more active during the sunset and in the morning. During the day he prefers to just rest. And these days he's got a tendency of going to the dry river beds. So this is the dam Hosanna is using in order to catch the prey. And the tree we saw him earlier is the same tree is using very often in order to lift up his food, his prey. So from here to the tree is a distance which is approximately 250 meters. So these 250 meters he can catch, he can drink, and he can hide the prey. So the leopards, they do like to swim sometimes when wanting to get something which is on the other side of the dam or on the other side of the rivers. I have seen that happening. So when chasing something, yes, sometimes they are very much reluctant to touch the water, but when wanting to do so, they can do so. So the animals which are depending on this waterhole might have already got the updates that Hosanna is here, because I'm not seeing the activities around here. So it means animals, maybe they know about his kill at the moment. Here come some of the very much interesting birds making noise. So those are the red-billed oxpeckers. These are the birds which are responsible to clean all these animals. Look at that. So the foot structure of these birds is very much interesting. They've got 2 toes facing forward and 2 toes at the back. Look, now he's getting interested or he's getting irritated, not too sure. But the tail is showing that he is interested on something. Look at how he's standing, folding the legs a little bit. This is amazing. So these birds are apparently confusing Osana at the moment. You can see that he wanted to go there. So these birds, obviously, they know about cats because he wanted to take a step to go there. So you can see that the fact that this cat has eaten, it does not mean he is limited to attack again. He is not restricted, he can still attack. It seems like there is another leopard approaching. Oh, here comes Tandy. We are very lucky. Here comes the second leopard. This is getting interesting. Look at Tandy coming. And she's coming straight to the dam. This is quite an interesting day. So you can see that earlier on when I started, the monkeys were complaining about something. So there is quite a lot of predators in the area here. Until now, I'm not too sure what those monkeys were complaining about. But now, here comes Tandy, unexpectedly. But Tandy has been spotted in the area this morning. And I thought she's gone by now. She proved me wrong, because she did also have some shares on that kill we saw Osana having earlier on. Maybe is the one who ate most of the meat with a lot of blood. Look at that. So I'm not too sure if Tandy has got Kalamba. Oh, Kalamba is coming. Here comes Kalamba at the back. This is getting interesting now. I saw the movement. She was looking at Kalamba. Kalamba is also coming. We are going to have 3 leopards in one sighting here. A very, very good afternoon and welcome to the unscheduled broadcast. I am Sydney and I have got a very lovely sighting here now. I can see Tandy is approaching the dam, and at the dam already I have got Osana. Behind Tandy is Kalamba. This is interesting. So now we are going to see a group of leopards together. We are going to see what is called a leap. So Kalamba might be moving very slow. Tandy might be going to see if there is some other food remaining up in that tree. But she's very late now. Everything is finished by now. Right there where Tandy is going is where there was a kill. Narosin, this is indeed a lovely sighting and is something I was not expecting. I am so very much happy at the moment.
Let's drive forward about 10 meters to here and you can see something.
So I'm just going to reverse a little bit so that we can have a better visual of Thandi approaching the tree, just to see what is Thandi's intentions at the moment. I can't still see where Kalamba is. I saw her coming down there, but now I can see now Thandi is climbing up the tree. Is going right there to try and investigate if there is still food left by. You can see there, it's climbing up. It's going right to those branches, and there's nothing left there. So I'm sure she's not gonna. Kaylee, that is true. It is amazing and it is very scary. I just want to see what is going to happen when all these three meets. I can see that Kalamba is still hiding somewhere, but Thandi is already up in that tree. And I'm sure she's not going to spend much time because there's nothing left there. Hosanna ate everything. So I can see now Hosanna is right looking at Thandi. There is Thandi coming down. Maybe she will come down this side. She just got down very quickly from that tree. There's she coming down. Yeah, she's already on the ground somewhere there. Judy, indeed, these are very much beautiful creatures. I just can't wait for Thandi to come towards my direction here together with Kalamba and see what's going to happen when they meet the Hosanna, the little chief, here with me. So it seems like Thandi went down towards the drainage line or the old dry riverbed. Some of the animals are complaining as well where I am. The impalas, I'm not sure if impalas are complaining because they saw Hosanna with me here or they are complaining about Thandi on the other side. But at this stage, there's quite a lot of calls, warning calls, alarm calls. You can see the impalas are not settled. They are right there, and their whole concentration is looking at that side where Thandi is. I'm sure they are not seeing Hosanna here with me. I just decided to be quiet a little bit so that you can hear that kind of an alarm call. So those two impalas are against the presence of Thandi, not knowing that Hosanna is already at the dam. Sinek, I am not too sure if Hosanna can be able to take over that kind of a huge responsibility. Kalamba is still very young, and Hosanna challenging any of the leopards before in the game reserve since I have arrived. Maybe he might try and take that chance. It has been a very interesting actions. Three leopards not very far away from each other at a distance of about 250 meters or less. So now I am going to be very thankful for all your questions and all your participation. I will be going back live again and carry on with the normal game drive. So while I'm here with Hosanna, James has already arrived in the area. I'm not too sure if already James managed to get hold of Thandi and Kalamba. Let's see how James's investigation is going.
Well, we had Thandi. She just walked behind the bush here. I think she's going straight towards Hosanna. This is very exciting, so we'll probably go straight back to Sydney just now. So I'm pretty sure that their guess that there were monkeys alarm calling at a second leopard earlier on was absolutely correct. It probably was Thandi lurking around here somewhere. There we go. There she is. Now, I'm assuming that young Hosanna is still at the waterhole, still at the pan. And Sydney should have sight of him almost immediately now. Now, I'd love to know where Kalamba went. This is absolutely fascinating stuff going on here. Brilliant. Okay. Well, we'll just keep going this way. You can cut back to Sydney, Megs, as soon as he's got both. Little one in the tree. And the little one's in the tree, apparently. This is unbelievable. Let's go across to Sydney. I'll see if I can get a view of Kalamba.
Welcome back again. Here comes Thandi approaching. Welcome back again. Here comes Thandi approaching the waterhole where I have got already Hosanna. I can see welcome back and welcome to the unscheduled action broadcast. I am Sydney again. I have got a very lovely sighting. Thandi decided to come and have a drink. I can see that Thandi and Hosanna, they've got attention, because when Thandi was approaching earlier on, Hosanna was just opening, showing off the teeth, showing that he's not happy about the presence of Thandi. So Thandi is just busy trying to have some water there. So let's just wait and see what is going to happen. But Thandi did not show any sign of aggression against Hosanna. So now let's go to James. James has got Kalamba, the cub of Thandi.
Nine-month-old little leopard cub sitting in a tree, watching mother approaching her uncle and wondering if this is danger, if this is normal for leopards to be in groups like this. Everything her mother's told her about being solitary appears to be, well, false, basically. So here she is, possibly in some danger from Hosanna, possibly not. He is, of course, related to her, but he does seem to be an unusually social cat. And that over there is 9-month-old Kalamba, a little leopardess, who's done very well to get to this year, or this age. Yes, Sasha, what's absolutely awesome, cats, and what an unbelievable sighting to be in. To have 3 in 1 is spectacular. Now, all we need is for her father and Hosanna's father, they share a father, of course, to pitch up. So although they are they're actually half siblings, as well as being uncle and niece. I think she might climb up a little bit further. There is some meat in this tree. A duiker met its end thanks to Hosanna yesterday evening. The commotion attracted Tandi, who then had a fight with Hosanna early this morning. Well, not a physical fight, but certainly a growling match. And she then went off sometime during the day to fetch her cub to bring her to eat. Now that indicates to me that she's not particularly worried about the effect that Hosanna will have on the cub. Not particularly worried about whether or not Hosanna is going to hurt the cub, which is really quite interesting. Leading cause of leopard cub death here is unrelated male leopards. Now, of course, Hosanna is related to Tlalamba, but does he know that? Who knows? Let's just... I'm nervous to sneak forward because she is quite a little cat. So let's just wait here. I can just see her head sticking out there. Can you see that, Seb? She's just turned it back into the bushes now. There, she's coming down now. There she goes. So let's just let her kind of work things out on her own. And apparently Tandi is chuffing at the moment, so making a little sound like this. Now, whether she's doing that at Hosanna or whether she's doing it at the cub, I'm not sure. So we're going to just stay still now. She's a little bit more nervy than some cubs I know of this age who have grown up near vehicles. And we've got a beautiful picture of her here. So I'm just going to stay exactly where we are while we go across back to Tandi, the mother.
Tandi is busy chaffing now, heading back to where she left Tlalamba, the cub. Not too sure if Tlalamba is on the way or is still up by the tree, but I can see that she is not settled at the moment. She already gave quite a lot of signs, and she did chaff for about 3 times already. So let's see what she's planning to do. Maybe she's planning to get Tlalamba in order to come for a drink, because when she was chaffing, she was drinking, and she was chaffing, drinking, chaffing, and then after drinking again, she started chaffing. So it means she knows that Tlalamba is also very thirsty at the moment. So I'm just going to move forward quickly and see if we can see Tandi again. She's not that very far away now. She's just in between the bushes. But she knows where Tlalamba is. She knows very well where Tlalamba is, because I could see that she was aiming up in that tree. So she's looking, listen. So she was chaffing just now. So what she's trying to do is she's calling the cub. Surely this is very much interesting to see 3 leopards just close by, and with a cub, the mother trying to chaff, and mother not settled with another young male in the area. This is very much interesting. I can see Tandi is worried, is calling the little one, whereas she is having a problem with Hosanna at the moment. That I saw, how she approached, how they treated each other, it was not nice. I could see that these two, they have got serious issues. She is keep calling. Aaron, yes, the cub is growing very much big and is still very much young, but is getting there. You can see that the mother is so very worried, trying to call, and the little one is not responding. Look at the little one there. The little one can see and can hear very well. Maybe the little one is going to calm down now. She's replying. So you can hear that she is replying. So now, while I'm here waiting to see what is going to happen, James is on the other side. Let's see, maybe he's got a better visual from where he is.
Well, we've got the little one here, and she is responding to Tundi. She's calling. She's making a very kind of adult chuffing and, well, groaning sound, really. It's not very adult. I'm talking rubbish. It's very junior. A little bit like a monkey alarm calling. She can obviously smell the meat on this tree. Now Mum's calling again. I can hear her. Let's see if the baby does it. Look at the balance. Mum's still calling again. Oh wow. There we go. Isn't that magic? Magical stuff. I can't believe how lucky we are here. So Mum stopped calling now, and so's the little one. Just going to wait and see what happens. I can obviously smell the evidence of 3 kills that have been in this tree in the recent past. Their Mum's calling again. See if she calls. See if baby calls. She can obviously see. There we go. It's like a little burp. See if she comes down. There we go. No, still investigating. This is the first time, everybody, that I've seen this cub, and obviously we've known her pretty much since birth. It's the first time I've seen her explore like this and not be afraid without her mum. We have had sightings of her before on her own, but always she's just a little bit nervy without mum, and now she seems perfectly relaxed. She comes down. Now, leopard descent is seldom as elegant as its ascent. Let's see what happens there. She's just behind the other side of the tree. Just see her head sticking out there. Little nose. Yeah, absolutely, Steve. It is astounding how they communicate, almost exactly like monkeys. There we go. Burp, burp. Oh my goodness, what a jump. Did you get that, Seth?
No, I don't think so, no.
Well, she's going towards Mum. I'm sure Sydney's going to have a great view of them coming together now. That is really awesome stuff. There we go, see her get a last view of her going there. And let's go across to Sydney now.
Now you can see Thandi and Kalamba have just met now. They are all together. After a very long conversation, they were just chaffing and replying to each other. It was an amazing experience. Look now, what this mother is doing now is to show a lot of care, and that helps to maintain the relationship between the mother and the cub. Look at that. Even trying to pick up some of the ticks, you can see when the mother is trying to comb there. This is an amazing sighting. So let's see what they're thinking, these two now, because I know Kalamba is still thirsty. These are very beautiful creatures, John. Look at what they're doing. This is interesting. Kalamba is now heading towards that side again. So you see all of them, they've got a white tip on the tails. So those white tips is for communication. They can be able to communicate below our hearing and below the other animals' hearing. You see, the little one is also showing off that white tip. But they can close it sometimes and then you can just see it black. It seems like Thandi is excited by something. So Kalamba already crossed to the other side of the old dry river bed. So Kalamba is looking back at Hosanna. So she is looking back at Hosanna. She's not looking at anything else. Just want to see what will be the next action plan for Thandi. So you can see that Kalamba is already gone, disappeared on the other side. Maybe where Kalamba is now is where, while Hosanna was feeding, some of the small pieces of meat were falling on the ground. It was that direction where Kalamba just got to now. You can see the tree is shaking there. Kalamba is rubbing against the tree. That is not because of the wind. Kalamba is doing something there. He got frightened. So I'm just going to move right straight to where they are so that we can have a better visual, as I am starting to lose the visual from here where I am. So it's not going to take me a lot of time. Just now I will be there now. It is an amazing afternoon today. So while I'm going there, James is now by the dam. Let's see, maybe James already managed to reallocate Hosanna.
We've got Hosanna, yes, and he's just watching where his sister and niece have disappeared. And I don't know if there's any meat left. I suspect that the kill is probably finished. No, except I can see some movement in the tree now. It looks like one of them's gone back up the tree. All right, everybody, that was an unbelievable interaction of 3 leopards we had there twice. Unbelievable. We're going to carry on watching here, and if you'd like to join us, just go to YouTube, stick in SafariLive, and you'll find us here. Of course, Sydney will probably stay with the leopards. I may go looking for something else. And Steve is still out on foot, actually, and thank you for joining us. And, well, look out for another notification for when we go live on Nature's Schedule. Alrighty, let us go all the way 1,500 miles up to the Masai Mara with the great David Gitu.
Well, we are doing very well. That was an action-packed and scheduled broadcast with Sydney, with Tandy and Kalalamba. Fantastic, very good job there, Sydney. And we're showing you a different cat now in East Africa, in Kenya. And we got one lion there, maybe another lion there. And I'm not sure because of age. The one on the right, if you look carefully, he's much bigger in size, much darker mane, maybe a little bit older, and maybe for that reason a little bit sleepy than the young one. Like human beings, sometimes as we get old, we tend to sleep more. Look at the size of that mane. We have had 3 lions, males, together, these 2 and 1 more that's missing in action at the moment. And we have always called them the triangle boys. This particular one, hopefully we'll have a chance to sit still. Look at the panting there. Look at the breathing there. It's because of the heat of the day. Very good job there, James. So this particular one, we call him the short tail. Oops. And that one is moving. And we call that one the fang. If you like to see him yawn, do you have a limp? Or just you have yet to balance yourself? Absolution, a bit of a wee, a bit of a number 2. Okay. So common once you sleep and you wake up. Sometimes that's how you balance yourself. Beautiful wind blowing through the other mane on that like mohawk. On the grass. And I was talking to Manu earlier, and Manu was telling me, well, this might be a sign of some rains coming. James, do you think got some rain? Yeah, and Megan Final Control says fantastic, and this big one here is big, yawn. Sorry, so much dust going in your mouth. So sorry. What can we do? And that's not the best way to wake up, eh? I feel sorry for you. Short tail. It got nothing to do with me, not James, not Manu. It's Mother Nature. And a blessing in disguise for us. We are able to see your beautiful mane. So this one here, we call him the short tail. If he stands up, we'll see he's missing part of the tail. It's like half the normal length of a lion tail, and I do not know what might have happened. Remember your questions, very important, and that's how we tend to engage and learn about these lions. And as I said earlier, there used to be three of them, and we would call them the triangle boys. What happened to one, we do not know, but for the last 3 months, we have not seen the third one. So the big one there is having a little scratch, James, as you can see there. And normally, they'll scratch themselves around the mane because that's the one area you'd expect to have lots of parasites. It's easy for them to anchor themselves. Beautiful yawn, well done, short tail. So one of the best things you can do for us is just to stand up and we see your tail. Look at the pose of that guy there. If you meet that lion, he slaps you. No chance of survival. Next, you're asking, why do we see the lions near the road? That's a very good question. I'll tell you what. Just like human beings, lions or cats will want to be in an area that's clear and open, and they are able to move. So what would happen? Here they can see around where they are, and occasionally, because the road is bare, has no grass, it will be having some warmth in it. But ideally, most animals, most cats, lions, leopards, tend to walk in an open area, and they tend to follow a particular path. And just like you, if you're walking somewhere in the bush or in the forest, you want to walk in an area that is pretty straight and open and clear. So that could be one of the reasons for them to be where they are. But when they'll be looking for food, they could be here or they could be in any thickets. So it's facing in one direction. I don't know what he could be looking at. See this one just licking his paws. And I was saying earlier, this is not one cat you want to meet in the middle of the night. And they have said sometimes a slap of a fully grown male lion could be anything like 200 pounds of weight. You'd imagine that on your head, eh? Beautiful mohawk he got, beautiful mane. And the triangle boys have been ruling this area for quite some time. And when we see them mating with pride of lions, this particular guy will always have the upper hand in choosing or having the mating rights. Beautiful. Well done, James. Look at the wind blowing through the grass and the mane. What are you looking at, sir? Or what are you thinking? Remember, your questions and comments will always keep us engaged and make us very happy to know that we are all enjoying this together. And I'll just try to reposition a little bit and see if they can give you a little different angle, because I think the wind, as it has picked up, is kind of bothering them and they do not want to be in the same position they were before. Let me reposition a bit and see whether they can get a different angle of these guys. Alrighty. James, so let me know when we get a good position. I want to see if we can get side face of that. And my brother Steve Ovo is always walking. Tell us, how are you tracking, Steve?
Thanks, David. Well, what an afternoon. Lions and leopards all over the place. We have had a very nice walk on the bushwalk, and the sun is slowly setting there in the west. And, well, what a beautiful day it has been. Looking forward to going back and having a look at that little bit of interaction that happened shortly a little while ago. No doubt David will get into a better position with his lions, and James and Sydney will relocate on the leopards that we have. What a marvellous afternoon for a safari joined between the Sabi Sands and the Masai Mara. Nice to have those boys back on board to see lions every day. I wish we could see lions every day. I mean, we were just walking through looking at some tracks. There were some tracks of lions, but a few days ago, and the Nkuhumas moved through. It really would be nice. It's something I think I miss a lot. Yeah, we see a lot of leopard, which is great, but I'd love to see more lions. I used to, when I worked up in the Kruger, we saw lions almost every single day, pretty much every day, which was really, really cool. Yes, well, Megs, I didn't get the name of that person, but they want... Elaine, you want to know if I'm not worried about some of the leaves and bushes that I eat if an animal is scent marked. And then, well, it's a very good possibility. But one thing that you'll notice when I do, let's go have a look at this bush here. This bush is, this is about the height of a leopard scent marking. So about here, perhaps. And so I'm always grabbing from kind of shoulder height. So hopefully we'll miss. But if not, there'll just be a little bit of pheromones going into my mouth. Well, let's do it. Here we go. We've got a nice jackalberry. Very bland. There's really not too much taste. A little bit of a tinge of leopard urine there. I have no idea what leopard urine would taste like. No popcorn smell. Generally would smell like popcorn, otherwise it's washed off. But it's not something I've ever thought about. I'm joking about the height that I collect at. I've never really thought about the scent marking. One thing I have always thought about is grasses, because if you see, when you grab a grass like this, when you pull it out, this long stem here, it's very characteristic for hyena to anal paste on grasses. That's something I'm very aware of. A friend of mine years ago was pulling a grass off the side of the road for me while driving, and he got a hyena paste between his fingers here, and then he had to drive all the way back like that. That wasn't good. That was a lesson I learned from his mistake. But as we continue on down the merry road here, let's go back over to James, who's managed to find Hosanna again.
I just couldn't resist coming to see Hosanna, mainly on account of the fact that I was utterly unable to find anything other than that steenbok to show you, and so Sydney found 3 leopards and decided to give me 1, which was very kind of him indeed. So here we are with Hosanna and his nice fat belly. What a good boy. He's managed to get himself a duiker. He's quite pleased that the communication skills of duiker are so utterly poor that they, well, keep coming down to drink here where he can kill them. I'm going to wait and see if another one comes down while you go and see Sydney, Fergus, Tlalamba and Tandi.
I have got Tlalamba. Tlalamba is fascinated by a squirrel and is climbing the tree in order to get the squirrel. Let's see what is going to happen there. You can see now is climbing high up. It's right behind that branch. So there is a squirrel right at the end of that branch. Look at the squirrel. The squirrel jumped. This squirrel saw it coming. The squirrel saw danger coming. So you can see that now Kalamba is is growing and is learning very quickly. So the animals, they can be able to learn very fast. But when they're about 18 months is when they can do everything a lot by themselves. Because that is when they can learn a lot. But that was a sign that Kalamba is growing. Linda, Kalamba is spending much of the time on her own. She doesn't want to a lot walk with the mother. That is why you saw earlier on Kalamba was left behind up in that tree. That is how Kalamba and Tandy are living. Sometimes Kalamba go to hidden and then she expose herself and leave and use their own other area. But they will all meet again because they will chaff and talk to each other and meet again. Look at them. This is very much interesting. So, but what Kalamba is doing does spoil the chances of catching a prey. So, and we will see this happening a lot. So there is a squirrel in the right in the tree. She's trying to search for that squirrel, and the squirrel is calling inside. So what we are hearing now is the squirrel in that tree. So you can see Tandy, Kalamba is trying by all means just to get a chance to get hold of that squirrel. The squirrel can see Tandy and is complaining, giving alarm calls in there. And there's no way Kalamba and Tandy are going to open up that tree. It's one of the very hardwood trees. Sammy, that is very true. The kids are always very hungry. They always want to eat. So you can see now he gave up. He saw that he cannot be able to open that branch. There's even other birds complaining about their presence here. Look at that. This is beautiful. This is an amazing experience. You see now, Kalamba is the one determining a direction of movement. She's the one responsible for orientation and navigation. So the mother is listening to Kalamba now. So let me now just try and follow them and see if we can have a better sighting. The question, I didn't copy it nicely. FC, if you can repeat. I think there has been a breakdown there. I didn't copy that question at all. The chances are very much high for Tandy to catch, even though Tandy herself is not that very hungry, or Kalamba is not very hungry. Because I can see here, not too sure if Kalamba has eaten. But Tandy, I am sure Tandy has eaten this morning. So they just got disappeared somewhere here in this area. Can see them going through these bushes. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to go around and see if I can follow them from this side. So while still searching for the better position on these cats, I am now going to Kenya. David has got lions.
Lions are still here, and they just But as I was repositioning, the lions also thought they should reposition themselves. And now we got the short tail in front, and the one behind it, we call him Fang. Fang, because he is missing one of his tooth. And the wind that it's blowing, we are now more convinced than ever before that the rains will be coming anytime now. But we are going to stay here and hopefully wait for the short tail to wake up, because he woke up for like 45-50 seconds and then he went right down. And would, you know, I thought it would be very lucky to have seen the short tail. But he is quite a majestic boy when you see him moving. Huge, strong muscles, big head, big mane, as the wind, you know, just blowing through the mohawk. And you can see how dark that mane is compared to the brother there. And that could be one of the reasons why the females would prefer him than this one and the other one that's missing. And I'm sure because of the wind, he's just going down. Trivia, how are you today? And that's a great question. And you're asking, do the mane of the lions get thinner as they age? Yes, I would say they get thinner. When they're young, like we saw the other one, they're that short, little brown. They get bigger, they get darker, and then they get pretty crowded, you know, around the neck. But like age, like human beings, you know, they don't really grey. The mane does grey, but it gets a little smaller in size and also gets a little thinner. And you can see there's a lot of spaces between the mane comparing to the young ones when they're at the age of 7, 8, when they're very prime. Maybe 9 there when they're very prime. But once they start clocking 12, 13, you can tell the difference between when they were 5 years younger. We'll have another look at that mane there. Not sure these rains will come, but you can see the wind is picking up, and these two boys are ducking away from the wind and trying to hide their heads like the proverbial ostrich. Hello, Fang. That's one, we call him Fang. See if you can open your mouth. And if you open the mouth, you might see the missing tooth. Are you trying to look at the sunset, Fang? I do not think we have the sunset here as yet. Stivovo has the sunset.
Yes, well, we're trying to, but it seems like the trees are getting in the way. We thought we were going to be in a good spot, but as the sun sets further and further, we are not in the best spot at all. And at this time of evening, as it starts descending, the sun starts descending on us, well, then it becomes time to be heading back for the bushwalk team, as is our wont at this time of day. As it starts getting dark, the leopards and lions start moving around in the African wilderness. I stand perched on top of my termite mound, and we're going to be sending you off as we go on our way home, just with one last golf swing for the evening. Let's go back over to someone. Did you see that fly?
There, I believe Steve was practicing his driving. That's very interesting. I don't mean that in the car sense, of course. I mean it in the sense of golf. And you can see that, like many people, Hosanna finds the thought of golf extremely boring. Hosanna, that is because you are young and lack culture. I hope that one day you will learn to enjoy and appreciate the fine things about golf. Go ahead, Jos, I'm just on the radio. Affirmative, the animal is not going anywhere. He's still static at the pan, fast asleep. Alrighty. So what we have here, of course, is Hosanna the male leopard. I've just lost my train of thought having been on the radio there. Now it is coming back to me. Right, golf. Yes, we were talking about golf, Hosanna. The other thing that you will learn to enjoy, of course, is possibly classical music, depending on whether or not you are will introduced to it early enough. I find that those who are not introduced to it early enough prefer things like the Backstreet Boys, which of course are a travesty. And I hope that you will not be one of those. You do come from a royal lineage, and therefore one would expect that you will appreciate the finer things in life. Gary, no, I don't think so. I think that they are active depending on the amount of light there is and how hungry they are. And, so if hunger happens to coincide with when it's dark and there's a sort of dark moon and there's no moon, well, then, yes, they're going to be very active. If hunger coincides with a full moon, you'll probably find that they will wait for the moon to set or wait until there's a bit of darkness. But, these cats hunted in the day as well. Leopards are thought of as nocturnal, but they are often active in the middle of the day, and they will often kill in the middle of the day. This chap happens to be more sort of useful at night as a hunter because he's sitting next to a waterhole that animals come and drink at in the night, and there's nowhere for him to hide in ambush during the day. And so that's why he's been active at night hunting here. Not so, Hosanna. Yes. As you can see that hunting is not front of mind at the moment with a belly that fat. Certainly it was yesterday evening. The zoomies on the dam cam have been doing a fantastic job of catching far more action than the drone or the game vehicles or the all the bushwalk have been getting over the last little while. We had a running joke last week when I was spotting from the drone. We had a running joke that the dam cam had caught far more leopards than the drone had. I think the drone's ahead now, maybe just slightly. Certainly never seen a kill from the drone yet. But I think as soon as we have some lions on the reserve, then that thermal drone is going to come into its own on the hunt. Or some wild dogs, actually. Yes, almost certainly, KL. We're pretty sure that Hosanna and Tlalamba have met. Certainly Herbert and Ralph have interpreted tracks that they found as Tlalamba and Hosanna actually playing together. So whether or not that's true or not, I don't know. Tristan has his doubts because it's a really unlikely thing to happen. But they did interpret the tracks. I trust Herbert implicitly with his tracking. Ralph was pretty good too. So, I don't know if they actually played together, but we're almost certain that they've met. Now, what does meet mean? I mean, he certainly saw Tlalamba today. Did they have physical contact? I don't know. It's unlikely. I think it's unlikely Tundi would let him get that close to her daughter. But I'm really enjoying the fact that Hosanna keeps whacking things and putting them in that tree, and then it attracts all the leopards of the area and they all come down, and we have a great big party every time he does it. So I think he's probably learnt that as well, you see, because he's such a social fellow. He probably knows that if he provides dinner, people will come. Not only people, but of course his father will come for dinner, his sister, his sister niece, that's what we're going to call Tlalamba, his sister niece. And they all come down, and maybe Shidulu might even come for a visit. All right, let's go across to the sister and the sister niece now.
It is very much interesting here. Tlalamba is now learning a lot. I have seen Tlalamba now wanting to tease a Francolin. So the mother is still around here, but Tlalamba is just going side by side, doing her own things. So you can see now it's jumping all these branches going forward. So what I'm going to do now is I am going to pull forward and see if we can have a better visual. I think also Tundi is right there by now. I just saw Tundi's movement moving towards that direction. So where are we going now? Safari Sally, Tlalamba is looking hungry a little bit. However, Tundi had already eaten this morning. So that is why it's very much difficult to tell if Tundi is going to hunt for Tlalamba or Tlalamba is just now trying to do hunting for herself. So it's quite very difficult to tell at the moment, Sally. So I'm just going to try and again move forward and see if we can have a good sighting, because here we are just in between the trees and the sighting is good, but these animals are just going in circles. They are not going straight because Kalamba is interested on play too much this afternoon. I can see them moving towards that direction, not too sure if they are going to go down this way or they are carry on straight. They will carry on straight. Anna Marie, yes, that is very much great, but it's very much difficult because when they are walking like this and they pick up something, they change their plan and focus on what is there at that time. They are so very opportunistic. Now I can see they are running as if they are chasing something. I am not too sure if they are fascinated by a prey here. They're just going up and down. They are running very fast, all of them. So I can see that somewhere here, maybe they wanted to chase something, because I saw Kalamba going all the way down there and Tandy was caving, running at high speed, going towards my left-hand side, which is the northern side of the game reserve. So I'm just going to pull forward a fag so that you can have a better chance to give them a good sighting. So just be careful there. There's a branch fag. Are you okay? Okay, thank you. Let me just see if we can pass through here. So I can see now they are moving towards my direction. So the chances are going to be very high for us to have a very good sighting. But I can see that Kalamba is still going far away from the mother, climbing all these branches. Okay. So I can see that Tandy's attention is drawn by Kalamba at the moment, because Kalamba is keeping a long distance between the mother. So at the moment, I'm just seeing Tandy there, but Kalamba is here as well. Maybe Kalamba might come very close and try to show us some other interesting display. So this is Tandy we are seeing now. Not worried. Look at that. So Kalamba is right somewhere. Kenny, I can see Kalamba now coming down. They're all going to meet at the moment. There is Kalamba coming down. Kenny, the mother can still defend the cub at this stage. That is why this cub is still guided by chaffing. That is showing you that they are still she's still very, very much young, and she's depending on the mother. At this stage, that little one is still under the full guidance of the mother. If you can check, you will see for that little one to eat, the mother must have to do something. So now, while I'm trying to have a better sighting on these two, James is still there at the dam with Hosanna. Let's see Hosanna.
Yes, here we are, still at the dam with Hosanna. Hosanna has not moved but to sigh and wheeze once or twice, and that's all he's done. There he is. We've provided some variety to the sighting by going into infrared, which is why you're now looking at it in black and white as the light fades. Thank you, Sebastian, for providing that level of variety to the show. It's very exciting to have. He got a little nick out of his ear there, which is now something that it makes him quite recognisable. How that happened, I'm not sure. Oh, there's supper. Look, there it is. It's coming. Another one of the duikers that, although they've heard their kith and kin screaming as they've been caught by Hosanna, they still think that this is a good place to come and have a drink. Come on then, we're waiting. That's it. It's a ram that's lost one horn. That bit in the middle is his mohawk. He's lost a horn. Where's the youngster? Hosanna! Hosanna! There's a duiker approaching. Probably going to come for a drink. Just saying. I know you're full. I know you're full. I don't want to encourage death, everybody, but we do have a TV show coming, and like I say, when he whacks something, everyone comes over. It's gone round the back now. Hosanna, it's coming. Stay where you are for now, but I'll warn you when it gets towards the water. Hosanna, wake up. Are you not hearing me? Teenagers, just useless. Yeah, Kathy, you're absolutely right. I should ring a dinner bell. Ding, ding, ding. Of course, the dinner bell for him is that rather... I don't know if you've watched the footage of him killing the duiker, both of them on the dam cam. It's... I couldn't watch it too many times because the thing really does make a horrifying distress call. And so, yeah, I mean, I'm making a bit light of the passing of the duiker, but I do feel some form of sympathy. There it is. Hosanna. It's now about 100 meters behind you. Don't move just yet. I'll tell you when it looks away. Stay where you are. All right, well, I try and convince Hosanna that this is a good idea. Let's go back to Tandi and Kalamba.
I can see I have got Kalamba now, both of them, Kalamba and Tandi. They are walking very close to each other now. They're just walking very close, splitting again, coming together and splitting. The little one is playing, no problems. So I can see now that Tandi is starting to get irritated as she was now trying to show off the teeth as she was walking. Look at that. That is amazing. Slowly disappearing there. So, Fake, don't you think it would be better if I go around? Okay, thanks. So I'm going now to head down this side and see if we can quickly have a good sighting just before they went to the thick bushes. So Hosanna already is showing some activities. Now James is there. Let's see what Hosanna is trying to show James.
Well, he's woken up because a very sharp-eyed impala seems to have spotted him. They're not looking at him, though. Well, some of them are sort of looking at him. There's one of them snorting. That's why he sat up to look, but he looks about as interested in them as I used to be in, I'm trying to think what lesson I wasn't particularly interested in at school. My Afrikaans lessons. So I don't think he's about to get up and try and catch one. But, as we know, even if leopards and lions are full, if the opportunity to kill arises, they will do so. Of course, Hosanna is now back asleep. Tom, yeah, I guess he will. You know, I wouldn't describe him as incompetent. You know, all we've seen here at the dam cam, I know many of you have watched him miss quite a few times, is what it takes to kill. You know, leopards don't kill every time they try. And we've certainly seen that many times. And I'm actually a little bit encouraged by it, and I'll tell you why. I'm quite encouraged by it because a lot of the time when we're following these cats, I wonder if we aren't ruining their hunts. You know, that's why we don't see them kill very often. But here, there's absolutely nothing in the way of him killing, and yet he's missed a lot of times. And so they do just miss a lot. Maybe he'll get a bit better at making the duiker shut up before it dies. That distress, and it's interesting that it has a distress call. I'm not sure what the point of it would be, because it certainly doesn't seem to frighten the animal that's trying to kill them off. But at the same time, it attracts other predators. It doesn't attract a great army of defensive duiker that come running in. So I don't really know. Anyway, as you can see there, he's not doing a vast amount. Alrighty, let's go back to the other two leopards that are playing.
So the two leopards are still walking here, little one enjoying playing. So now I am at the right position. Here I'm hoping for a better sighting. But they're not just walking, they are walking and concentrating.
Can you see what's there?
She is hiding somewhere right behind these bushes. These cats can be so very much camouflaged. I can see now Tandy is coming right there. Can you see her? Right here. Yeah, there is Tandy. Kalamba is somewhere here. There is Tandy coming down. So right there where Tandy is going, Kalamba is hiding somewhere. You can see the movement and hear the movement of branches. You can see Kalamba is out now. So if you look just behind the ears, the tip of the ears is black. They use those tips as well to communicate. Not too sure if Kalamba already knows how to use the tip of the ears for communication purposes. It's so very much peace and quiet here where we are. But it seems like maybe it was a rabbit or a duiker. Earlier on, they were fascinated by something. Feed up, I haven't seen anything very much surprising when it comes to the leopards. I always see them doing things very good, because leopards is not something that I have been interacting with for quite a long time. Yes, where I used to work, they used to have leopards, but they were very much shy. So I haven't spent a lot of time with leopards before. I have been in the area, operating fully in the area whereby the sightings were very much scarce. Here is the only first place where I am seeing leopard almost every day. So I'm just going to pull forward now and see if we can have a good visual. Oh, we've got a very nice bird calling. Can you hear that? Fake. So this bird, I cannot even see where he is. I can just hear him making that kind of noise. So, but while I'm trying to relocate here, we can go to James and see Osana on the other side, the little chief.
Well, the impala are sort of approaching. They're a long way off, and so he's just looking quite interested. Now, while we do this, Philip, your question about whether or what the cleverest thing I've ever seen a leopard do comes from an experience of a fairly recent past. They're coming towards the dam. Anyway, the fairly recent past where I saw Tundi. That was me just saying hello to you with my eyes. I saw Tundi using the car and the sound of the engine to mask her footfalls as she approached Nyala. It was astounding to watch. So although sometimes she seems to indicate a sense of displeasure, she certainly is clever enough to use a vehicle. Now that impala is distressed, there is no question. But I don't think he can see Hosana. I think this place possibly, and I don't like to say this, but possibly smells of leopard, because I'm not convinced that they smell to these prey. But they're definitely uneasy, aren't they? And I don't believe they can see him. You know, they're looking all over the place. They're not looking in one direction. They're looking away from him. They know there's something up here. Look at him, looking disdainfully at them, thinking, what a bunch of palookas. I suppose one of them might be able to see him. See how the ears are down, specifically so that they don't break the profile of his head. Also see how his eyes appear to be almost shutting. There we are, so tired, poor little boy. Rachel, they wouldn't have had to been away for a long time for them to mate with their siblings. They absolutely would mate with their siblings. That's what they do. All the cats do from time to time. It doesn't seem to have a hugely negative effect on the population, as long as it doesn't happen too often. And so it does happen. And the most famous example, of course, is the example of Kurula, the mother of Tundi, whose father was also her first lover. Now, I mean, I know that's a shocking thing to say, and half of you probably grabbing your hearts, have spat your coffee out all over your computers, fallen off your chairs, and are now gasping for air on the ground. But that's what happened. Her father was I've forgotten the name of her father, actually. May have been the Jordan male, I'm not sure, or Mafufunyane or something like that. Anyway, he was the first male that Kurula mated with to produce her first two youngsters, which were Tundi and Shadow. There was a Jordan male, said, agreeing with me, who I never met. And so, yeah, it does happen. And Kurula, of course, highly successful leopard. Her daughter Tundi, almost as successful. Shadow, an absolute disaster as far as mothering goes. But, I mean, look, you see, Hosana agrees. Many of you don't agree. She was very unlucky. And so, yeah, it happens, and it doesn't necessarily mean that it's a bad thing. For us as human beings, of course, it is just, well, it's repellent, but, you know, various parts of the animal kingdom really makes no difference as far as biology goes. And I think, you know, if we were to, let's pretend we were aliens and unemotionally involved with human beings, which is impossible, but let's pretend for a little while that we are, we'd look at the human species and say, well, why is it that they are so frightened of or terrified or appalled by incest? And the answer is very simple. I mean, purely from a biological point of view, incest is very bad for us. Even one sort of generation of inbreeding in humanity can create all sorts of problems, cognitive problems, physical problems. So it's very interesting that in the leopards, where it doesn't cause such a problem, they don't seem to have a sense of disgust for it. Now I'm very interested because the impala are at the other end of the water and they are about to start drinking, some of them. Orsano's eyes are open, but he hasn't sat up. And I think that it must be a smell. I can't see what else it could be. They definitely don't see him, because there's no ways they'd come down to drink if they saw him. And so some of them are thinking to themselves, this is ridiculous. We must come and drink. We can't see the leopard, he can't be here. But there's a whiff on the air. Now he's up a bit. His head's up now. Just over there. Now he's way too far away to make a run for it now. He'd have to be on the other side where there's a really nice bush for him to hide against. But I'm afraid where he is at the moment, it's highly unlikely that he's going to manage to grab one of these. Well, Tom, these cats have to be patient, don't they? And I think they learn that. I think they're very impatient when they're youngsters, and they have got to learn patience, because if they don't, they just won't catch anything. So he's put his head down again. He knows that there's no chance of him catching anything, even if this whole herd is to come down and have a drink here. He's got no chance. Some of them very chilled, having a nice drink. All right, well, it's getting a bit dark now, so Sydney and Fergus, I think, have left Thandi and Tlalamba. Let's go and find out where.
I have just lost Thandi and Tlalamba somewhere here in this area, so I'm just trying to see if I'm going to pick up their eyes. They were heading towards this direction. The area is very much thick, so these animals can be very much camouflaged. They are somewhere in this block. So I'm hoping that they will come to this side where I am. I'm trying to also pick up any kind of noise from the dry branches and the leaves where these animals must be walking by now. And their movement was punctuated with quite a lot of play displayed by Tlalamba. I can't hear anything. It's very much quiet. Maybe they decided to stop somewhere in these bushes. Oh, I heard something. What is... I heard something. Maybe it's a nyana. When there's some other animals in the area, when these cats are moving, they do try and concentrate on something else. Maybe it's something which is now delaying them to come out here. I am not seeing any movement, nothing. It is so very quiet, as if there was no cats in the area. Mister, I didn't copy the name, if you can repeat that. Mr. Public, that is quite a very interesting question. The reason why birds give alarm calls high up from the trees is that when the birds are growing, there is something which is called instinct behavior. These birds, they come knowing some of the predators, and there's also something called a learned behavior. Birds, they are too clever because when they're still very young, they learn that they've got to mobilize every time there is a predator. So it's something that they grow up knowing. They grow up knowing that when there is a predator in the area, we have got to mobilize. And that helps the other animals, because other animals, they depend on that. So birds, they will always complain when they see their predator, because when they were still very young, they have been taught that when there's a predator, you must look for the help and you must work together, you must mobilize. I think I heard something, but I'm not sure if maybe it was just my ears. It is so very quiet. Maybe they just decided to rest somewhere in here. So now, let's see, it is late in the evening. Birds are not now vocalizing about these animals. James has got impalas. Impalas are giving alarm calls.
They are shouting their heads off, and I don't think they know what they're shouting their heads off at. I'm now convinced that it is a whiff. It is a whiff, a strong whiff of leopard. Because of course there have been so many leopards here, and so consistent a presence of leopards over the last little while. They look deeply, deeply disturbed. No, let's watch them take care. I think the sound comes from their sinuses. There we go. Watch this. Come on, do it again. They sound a little bit like my mother when she blows her nose. Yes, very similar. See, it comes out of the nose. It's not from the voice box. It's the blowing of air down the sinuses that sets up a vibration. There we go. Some of them can't do it, interestingly. Some of them go... and then all the others laugh at them. They don't really. Well, not that I've seen. Maybe they do. That is the light at the dam cam. Obviously. There is the dam cam. Hello, Zoomy, whoever you are. Very nice. And that is the very kind knobthorn tree that has acquiesced to our placing the dam cam on it. So they're still surrounded the pan. They're obviously wanting to drink quite desperately, but they can smell leopard all over the place. Maybe that dyke is saying to them, don't go there. Johnny and Angela were whacked right at that pan, and I've been chased 5 times. I still don't believe they can see him, because they wouldn't be here, or they'd be making a movement towards him so that they could see exactly where he was and what he was doing. And the one ram, there's only one big ram in this herd, which is interesting. He's certainly doing his job of trying to look after his ladies. And of course the young rams here. Nobility or chivalry, something very much absent in the animal world. Yeah, they would, Lindsay. You're absolutely right. They would react to the scent of a kill. I've certainly seen them react to the scent of sort of innards, if you like, or rotting flesh. But the wind's blowing the wrong direction for that. They can't be... They're not looking the right way. You know, if it was coming off the tree, they'd be facing the other way. The tree that he stashed the kill in is well behind them, and well behind where they're looking. So I think it's just the fact that there's a stink of leopard in this particular area, and I think that's why they're looking around here, and they're just a little bit too nervous to come down to drink. But in winter, of course, they are enormously water dependent, and so they're going to have to come down at some stage and have a drink, and he may then pounce isn't a word really. Let's have one last look at Hosanna, who is up and keeping his little ears flat so that he doesn't disturb the profile of his head above the disguising grass. And now he's having a clean. He's almost certainly going to be seen now. It has been an absolutely magnificent drive. Sydney made the right call by coming to Hosanna today. And Fergus, in fact, got hold of us and said that monkey is alarm calling at something and it's not Hosanna. And we couldn't find Tundi, and I'm sure it was seeing Tundi wherever she happened to be. Anyway, marvellous that we had all three of them in one sighting. And we will see you tomorrow again, of course, at 06:30 until 08:30. I will be on car again. I think Tristan's walking. I think Sydney's day off, and Steve will be on the other vehicle. Until then, thank you very much for your questions and comments. They're always entertaining to have. And we hope to have some Mara tomorrow as well. We'll see you then. Bye-bye.